Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Rob and Denise Juneau. Ms. Juneau, it's nice to meet you virtually. So it's a happy Victory Friday for us here at the Seattle Seahawks. The Heritage Month series is a part of the Character Playbook program. And the goal of this series is to create a platform for students to tell their stories and share their heritage. You, the students, are the experts here today. The Seattle Seahawks support the Character Playbook program because it aligns with our organization's values and mission to include a culture of cultivating, nurturing, and maintaining healthy relationships, both on and off the field. The Seahawks specifically support this project because we believe in youth empowerment and the power of your voices. We wholeheartedly champion and celebrate what is so unique and special about each and every one of you. I'm excited to hear from you all today. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Midori, and great to meet you too. I'm wearing my beaded Seahawks earrings in honor of the victory. So congratulations on that big win. So I am Denise Juneau. I am the Seattle Public Schools Superintendent. I'm going to just take a moment and just introduce myself in my Blackfeet language. So Oki, Nixukuaks, Nitanaku, Utskwi, Siksikiaki. That basically means, hello, my friends and family. My name is Blue Cloud Woman, and so that is my native name, Blackfeet name. And so just really honored to be in space with all you young people today who are going to be the experts and telling people a little bit about, it's Native American Heritage Month. And so we want to make sure that we're giving people the real scoop on what's happening in Indian country, your background, and how you are all leaders right now. I grew up on the Blackfeet Reservation in Browning, Montana, graduated high school there. And I am a member, however, of the Mandan Hidatsa tribes of North Dakota. That's where my mom is from, and my dad is from the Blackfeet Reservation. And so that's where I grew up. I have been a teacher. I've been an attorney. I turned back to education. I worked in the state of Montana at the State Education Agency on Indian Education for All. And so Montana really has a strong Indian education program, which allows every student across the state, is the goal to make sure that they are learning an accurate and truthful history of tribes, of their of American history, and just making sure that people understand the basis of this country and what it's truly, truly founded on. And that this is all Indian country across the United States. And now I was the state superintendent, so I was elected by the people of Montana to the Office of Public Instruction as the state superintendent. When I was elected in 2008, I was the first American Indian woman to be elected to a statewide executive office anywhere in the country. And I'm just proud of the momentum that Native people are making into all areas now. 2 Native women in Congress. We have more Native people who were elected this last election. So really making a move into the halls of power, which I think is super awesome and also very powerful and brings a real strength to Indian country and in fact to just the United States. And then when I was termed out of there, I was fortunate to get this job over in Seattle as the superintendent of schools. We have 104 schools here, about 54,000 students, a lot of different languages. We have a good number of Native students from all different kinds of nations all across the country. And so I do believe we have Elizabeth here from Seattle, and we can talk a little bit about urban settings as well, just as long as we know that there are a lot of Native people that live in urban settings across the country as well. But I am just really, as I said, honored to be here, to be visiting with all of you. Super proud to see all your faces and that you are talking to the country right now. And so make sure that your voices are heard. I think we're going to go into some introductions of each of you now. So name, where you're from, your tribal affiliation, and then anything that you want people to know about you. So who wants to kick us off?
McCanselman seats to Alchad Bakshit Parachad Virmanios Yokti Altitude Kaya Clara Irving Macaw Ellen Altitude David Munoz Mexican Altitude Archie Lovahan Muckleshoot, altitude, NSR, Muckleshoot. Hello, my name is Mackenzie Lobahan, and I'm from Muckleshoot tribe, and my parents are Mia Munoz and Bart Loban. My grandparents are Clara Irving, David Munoz, my side of family, Loban, and and I've been singing since I was like in 3rd grade. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but I'm not really a leader like other people. I'm mostly in the background of everything, and I'm the oldest in my performing arts group and power group from where I'm from. I'm Muckleshoot tribe, and I've been going to Muckleshoot Tribal School since I was a toddler. And I'm very proud to be here and listen to you guys' words. And I'm glad to know we are being spoken of, acknowledged. Thank you.
Okay, you guys, who wants to be next?
I can go.
All right.
Okay. My name is Jace Matt. Hesquex Pesia. That means good morning. I'm like, how is everyone? I'm pretty sure. I don't know my whole introduction here, but I'm from Montana, from the Flathead Reservation. I'm Salish and a little bit of Crow. And I go to St. Ignatius High School. Yeah, we have a few reservations here, but yeah, I don't know if anyone else is from here, but yeah, that's where I'm from.
I guess I could go next. Ho Mataki Api, Dakota Ia Cheske, Wachichu Ia Rider Amaki Api, Bitawakatua Hemakado. That is translated to hello, friends and relatives. My Dakota name is Chaske. My English name is Ryder. My people are the Mdewakanton, and that means dwellers of the Spirit Lake. So I'm from like Shakopee, Minnesota, and that's where my tribe is at.
I'll go next.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Introducing myself in my language. So, Yatse, Shidene, Shake Zaymar Yunisha, Nachajin, the net initial, Eshin Bashin, Nakai the shape. Oro A Hashkanzo A Dashinale, I got Ego A She, Eshkinishne, Shamato Shajan A Tracy Dobin in the morning, will ye? Shamasan Goshiche A Jesse Do will have, will ye? Monzuma Creek, a Yisi De Nasha, a Koegi A now Tefika, there's a Shagan. A question A sa pizza the ish nachai. A question A Pelican So as I said is that hello, my friends and family. My name is Xavier Martin. I'm 18 years old. I'm from Montezuma Creek, Utah, but originally live in Navarro Mesa, Utah. My parents are Tracy and Bernia Martin. I go to school at Whitehorse High and concurrently a USU scholar. So yeah, that's me.
Ho, Amukaman Isawan Ava, Aqua W Sekwa, Netashish Nawa Mishkwakiak, Nwayakimin, Enajikawan Mishkwakiak, Nway Gagashishawan, Nemaquis, Nja Nitaya Shagwe. Hi, my English name is Ava, and my native name is Aqua W Sequa, which means lady bear that walks in shallow water. I am from the Bear clan of the Meskwaki tribe, which means people of the red earth. I customized my background for this This is my tribal flag. The green stands for peace, and the red stands for war, with a warrior from our tribe on it.
I'll go next. I guess I'll go next. Hesquex, Kellen McClure, Fluis Quest. My name's Kellen McClure. I'm 16. I go to St. Ignatius High School, and I'm from the Flathead Reservation, and I'm enrolled in South Dakota, the Assistant Wapton. Yeah.
I can go. My name is Elizabeth Brown. I am from Seattle, Washington. I'm 15 years old, and my tribes are Yakima and Muckleshoot and a little bit of Puyallup. And I'm very excited to be here because I feel like I'm kind of the only one from over here in like Seattle, and I like hearing everyone else and where they're from and how it is over there.
I can go next. Hesquex, Cooper through East West. I'm Salish and Kootenai in Northern Cheyenne, and I'm from St. Ignatius, Montana, and I'm 15 years old.
I'll go next. My name's Israel Pelekanakukiko Justin Elkins. I am Muckleshoot, Yakima, Puyallup, Nooksack, Blackfeet, and I forgot the other two from Dad's side. I'm from Washington, and yeah, about it.
I don't mind going next. My name is Jasmine Dorman. I'm 17, and my father is Lyle Dorman. He's enrolled Paskinta Numlaki tribe. My mother is Thelma Daniels, and she's enrolled Coeur d'Alene. I'm also enrolled Coeur d'Alene, and I really appreciate that. I'm really happy to be here and to see so many other people, and hear everybody speak their own language, and that's really just, I admire that. Thank you.
Okay, who's left?
I can go next. My name is Christian Dan. I'm 13 years old, and I'm from Aneth, Utah, and I go to school at Whitehorse High School. My clans are Nakarina Nishla, Honagani, Bushichin, Kithlachini, Dashache, Dor Cheyenne, Dashnala, Agatego Eshki Nishla. And that translates to, hello, my people. My name is Christian Dan. I am from the Mexican adopted clan. I am born for One Who Walks Around clan. My maternal grandpa is from the Red House clan, and my paternal grandpa is from the Cheyenne tribe. That's how I am a boy.
My name is Kiri. I've grown up on the res, but I'm actually not native. My teacher invited me to come here, and I go to Whitehorse High School. I probably won't talk much, but I'm really excited to hear everybody's stories and have them share, because I think it's really important.
My name is Armando Luna Salgado. I'm from the Bonnie Lake area. I'm 18 years old. I'm a descendant of Muckleshoot tribe, and my mother is enrolled Squaxin tribe. I really don't know that much about my heritage since I wasn't introduced to it until much later in my life. But I'm happy to be here and hear everyone else's thoughts and opinions on everything surrounding Native culture and just Native stuff in general.
Okay, was that everybody? All right. So that was all beautiful. Thank you all so much for such a great introduction of yourselves and where you're from. I just think it's really important for people to, I mean, this is going to be broad and a lot of people are going to hear this and see this. And just the fact that you are from all over and speaking your language and introducing yourself that way, super powerful, and just really appreciate the chorus of voices. It's really beautiful to hear all the different tribal nations that are involved in this room right now. And so I guess, you know, just kicking it off, knowing that we don't have a lot of time, there were some questions, but it's just, I guess one thing that I think about, particularly around Native Heritage Month, and just from me growing up and knowing that as I started to talk with more people and move out into the bigger, broader world, that there were just a lot of myths and misconceptions and stereotypes of Native people about, you know, as far as even just, do we still live in teepees? I mean, it was really sort of really basic information that a lot of people are lacking. And so I guess I was just interested in kind of hearing what are some misconceptions and stereotypes about Native people that you often hear and that you just want to squash right now today for all the people that are listening?
Something you actually just mentioned is that, do we still live in teepees? And my first thing to say to that is that not all of us live in teepees. We all have very different styles of housing. We all have different languages. We all have different cultures and traditional foods and ways that we do our own things. And that's one thing that isn't represented in the media. It's normally Plains Indians who I think have the most like that's what gets shown, but it's not even an accurate representation of them. And they completely leave out that, like my tribe, we don't live in teepees. We're a woodlands tribe. We build wickiups out of saplings and deer hides. We don't have buffaloes to make teepees out of because we're a woodlands tribe. Just like tribes who live in the southeast don't have buffaloes either. They have whatever animals and plants and materials that they use down there. And Indians who live on the West Coast and the East Coast and the Midwest, we are all very different. And I think that really gets overlooked just in all media that is shown of us. I feel like actually most or more than most of all media representation of us is wrong. It's racist and it's stereotypical, and it only shows what they want to show. Because who's controlling that media? The government. And if they don't want to do the work, they just are fine showing racist stereotypes of what we are not and never have been. And that's a huge issue. One thing that my mom actually brought up to me is, why is it okay that we are mascots? Like, what if it was any other race or culture who was a mascot? And how would people think about that when they saw that? Like, why is it okay for us to be the mascots and not anybody else? And that just really struck me because I never thought of it like that before. And part of the reason I think of that is because people think we're dead or we're gone, or we're still living in teepees and living like we did before settlers came. And they leave out all of the stuff that they did to take that away from us too. They try to show the way that we lived before, I guess, before the settlers came. But they leave out all the parts of what happened to us when the settlers came. They leave out the Trail of Tears. They leave out the boarding schools. They leave out Standing Rock. They leave out the mass murder and assimilation.
Yeah, thank you, Ava. And I think that that's really the crux of everything, is what people don't learn in school and don't have the opportunity to be able to do that when they're growing up. Does anybody have anything to add on to what Ava's talked about, mascot wise, or just myths and misconceptions and stereotypes that you would like to squash right now for everybody?
I think a big one that I've seen a lot is that we're like our like dancing outfits and like any, I guess, like cultural like outfits that other like tribes may have. They're called costumes in like popular media for whatever reason. I'm not sure, but I don't know. They're called. I hear costumes a lot, and like obviously, if you went to like Spirit, like Halloween store, you could find like an Indian costume. So I don't know. I think that needs a big change, for obvious reasons.
What's the correction you want to make to that, Jace?
I mean, I don't think we should have that stuff at all. Yeah.
That was something that I actually wanted to talk about too, was like with Halloween being like what a couple days ago or whatever, like if you go to a store, there's like these Indian costumes everywhere. And I think that's just ridiculous. And I'm glad you touched on that.
I think that like people have this like vision of what they think Native American should look like based on like movies and based on like the past and things that like the thing is that like schools don't really teach them otherwise, which I think is really like wrong, because they will teach all of this other history, and some kids don't even like know how like terrible like Columbus was until they're so much older, when from like the beginning of like their education they should start learning about like what he did to like our people and how like really we affected the like growth of America, and we were here and this was our land. And I just think that because of the past, people just see like what Ava was saying, they like think that we're like dead, because a lot of us like our population has gone so like low because of like what has happened, and people just like see us as these like costumes because they don't think that we're really here, but like we are.
I agree with that. Like, I think it's kind of like a major lack of respect and a lack of understanding and a lack of knowledge, because like kids are taught from a young age that you can go to the store and buy an Indian costume, and then that we're not here. And it also doesn't help that when I look through my textbooks at school, there's a paragraph, and if we're lucky, 2 paragraphs about the Indian Removal Act when we learn about migration. And that is it. I look through the book and I see nothing else. So all we have in that big book about American history is 2 paragraphs, when in reality, we should be in almost all of that book. We should be in more than half of that book if you want to start talking about American history. We were here first. We were always here. We started here, and they don't tell it that. Like, one thing I've always gotten, and I never really understood as a little kid, is that when they would always talk about like Columbus sailing over, right? And then I'd be confused because I knew my culture, and my grandparents and my mom and my dad would tell me that we were here first, but I was confused because they didn't talk about that in the book. They just said that they came over here. They never said who was here or what they did to them. They just said that they came over here and started doing stuff. They literally left out everything. And that's where it starts, in my opinion. If people actually knew, then they could help. When you don't know about a problem, you can't help a problem.
So I guess just bouncing off that, are there any books or videos or movies? I mean, I know that we're talking a lot about stereotypes and the media and all that kind of stuff, but are there any accurate things that you would want people to look at or read to kind of learn more about your tribe or natives in general? I mean, there's not a lot out there that I think, but I'm just wondering from your perspective if there's anything that you would talk to people about. This is the book you should read and pick up to learn more.
I mean, going back to what Ava started in the beginning, like how like stereotype and how people like see us, like how we are as Native Americans. But like in general, like we Native Americans are working hard towards like what we want to accomplish. Like we are not out here just to goof around or like mess around with our lifestyle. Like we want to learn something for ourselves and become like dedicated to things we love. Like I know as Navajos down here, we always get criticized for being drunkies or like being trashy or not like knowledgeable on the things we do, but like we try to show ourselves, like we try to prove them wrong. Like we're here going to school every single day, working hard every day to make ourselves accomplishable, but we always get like a bias towards us. Like we always get looked down onto, like we're never that good enough. But like I mean, just what my dad said, like he quoted, like people around us, yes, may affect you, but around the world, you can show yourself who you are. But like, it's kind of ridiculous, like how people think of us Native Americans. Like we can never make it. Like for myself, I'm like, I can use myself as an example. Like I'm pushing myself to the limit to be known, and it's working pretty well. But I have like feedback from here and there saying that like, I'm not this perfect. I'm this kind of person, but I'm taking all that negativity in and trying to make it perfect for me, for my people, and the people that I love. But mainly, it's just like if the people can, like, if they can wake up and look around them instead of looking at themselves and comparing others. I mean, we as Native Americans are just standing as good as them. So that's what's kind of tipping me off, and that's what's really like making me mad at the point.
A piece of information that I've learned is one reason that Native people are so prone to alcohol addiction is because we didn't have alcohol over here until the settlers brought it with them and introduced us to them. And another thing that I've learned is that when the US wanted to make treaties with with the Native American tribes, that they would actually give them alcohol to kind of incapacitate them. And because they weren't used to it at all, they had zero tolerance to it, which means that it took over their senses pretty quickly. So they would use that to kind of get them to agree to crooked treaties. And another reason I think that's part of the reason we have such an addiction problem, like that Native people are prone to addiction, is because of that we were never exposed to it until they forcefully exposed us to it.
One thing I would say is that, I think looking at young people now and young Native people in particular, you guys are all setting a new path, right? It's sort of like you are, like Xavier said, you are coming into your own and you are really thinking things through and getting, angry and frustrated about what people don't know or have misconceptions about who you are and how you're really speaking up and speaking out in super powerful ways. And so my question, I guess, I know this time's really flying by. And for those of you who haven't spoken yet, maybe this is a good question, is what kinds of things, as you see your leadership growing in your communities and in your state and across the country, and just the rise of young people really speaking up in general, how do you see your generation leading for change? And I know that, several of you are involved with the Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women movement, that there's just a lot of things that are happening right now. So I just kind of be interested in hearing what kinds of changes do you want to see, and what kinds of changes do you want to be leading for as young people?
So one thing that's really cool is that my father, he was a culture teacher at one of the tribal schools around here, and the really cool thing is that he's also able to teach me as I get older, and I have a lot of elders around me already who help me, learn about our history and, my culture, and like from both tribes. I mainly hear a lot about my Pasquinta Numlucky tribe over in California in Corning. But the cool thing is so my dad's going through a bit of a tough time right now. So he hasn't been able to actually do a lot of more cultural things, but he still tries every day to incorporate some of those things into our daily life and to help me understand and like learn new knowledge. But the cool thing is eventually when he feels a lot better, me and him will try to do our best into helping other kids learn, whether you're Native American or not. Even if you're not a Native American, you are allowed to come and admire our culture and to help out and everything and learn. And that's what I really like about my dad, is that he was okay with that, and he wanted people and everyone to learn about it, and he didn't want to ever be aggressive about it either. I feel a lot of the times when people are talking about culture, they talk in anger and sometimes even like I would say hate, but it's because of all the the generational trauma, and that doesn't really get us places when you want to speak with such hatred and anger towards what happened to us in the past. But to speak to people respectfully and have them gain more knowledge about us. And that's what my dad did a lot, and now he wants to help me learn a lot more so I can do that when he's gone. And that's just one thing that I'm really excited to do when I'm older, is that I will be able to help kids learn a whole lot more about themselves. And that's really all I wanted to share.
Jasmine, what else?
Like, I don't know about other tribes out here or other cultures, but our culture isn't dying, but our language for sure is like on a massive downfall. Like, it's becoming like our fluent speaker numbers are like, I know a few years it was like down to 8 people left, like they were all elders. And so I know our tribe is kind of scrambling to get people to learn, and we have like schools like in Kusum that are still like teaching that, but I know it's a real struggle for us right now. And like Jasmine kind of touched on generational trauma. Like my family, I'm not supposed to like have any culture. The way my town specifically had I don't know if they're Catholic or Christian, but we had like heavily like Catholic schools here back in like early to mid 1900s, and they were trying their hardest to like strip our culture away from all of us. And my grandmother had like 13 siblings, and her and all her siblings didn't grow up like cultural or anything like that, or tribal, or knowing any of that, because those schools ripped it from them and her parents. So my mom's done a really good job of like reviving that like culture back into our family, and like so it's like up to us to like keep it going and like learn that. And like, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like it's just I wasn't like destined to like be cultural, but like we're doing our best to like keep it although all we've gone through.
Something I'd like to say to that too as well is what I've heard a couple times that really is sad is a lot of our elders, the reason a lot of our things aren't shared or a lot of people aren't educated is because a lot of our elders were scared to speak about their culture or anything on it, because to speak of those things, it wasn't okay, it was wrong, and it was it scared people and people didn't like it. And so it soon became something so horrible to them that a lot of people's family members wouldn't really speak on it or really want to tell or say anything. And it really makes me happy to see that some elders, though, and some people, despite, all that happened to them, like the horrible things that have happened to them, they still speak about it and they still love to share everything to their children and on.
I genuinely do think that this upcoming generation will take back and really show who they are, and look at what we're doing right now. We're here on a Zoom call, talking about our cultures and our heritage, and we're talking about what matters, and we're talking about cultural appropriation, everything, and we're doing that to help others learn. These videos are it's going to be shared to people to educate them, and I think that's what's going to happen with all cultures and all religions, and I think that it's something that will be revisited as the time goes on with our new generation.
Christian, do you have anything to add?
I totally agree with everything Ava and Xavier said about and Elizabeth, the cultural appropriation, and how there's only maybe 1 or 2 paragraphs of Native American history in our textbooks, and how people who aren't from where I am portray Navajos as junkies or alcoholics or stuff like that. And it just really makes me sad that these people, or some, don't know their history or culture, and that it's not taught the correct way in the American school system.
I think a lot
go ahead, Ava.
I think a lot of Native people, especially young Native people, end up having kind of identity crises because they don't know about their culture. It wasn't taught to them. And then they're hearing from multiple different sources all of these stories, one from school, one from your parents, one from your grandparents, from all of the stimulus around these issues, from your friends at school, from everyone, and you're just trying to find out who you are with all of this information being thrown at you. And some of it's not even the right information. And it's just hard to grow up like that.
Cooper or Mackenzie, have anything to add? Mackenzie, I think you're on mute.
When I go shopping sometimes, I don't go alone, and because I heard a few white people talking about natives are just greedy.
I just want to say, I guess, touching on the fact that, that they said earlier about how, a bunch of people have, different opinions on natives. I guess, for me anyways, going from different schools and stuff, I guess, just, being looked at from different people, I guess, I always want to, better myself as a person and do really well, so that people look at natives in a better way, I guess, from the way that some people look at them. So we don't looked at as druggies and all that stuff, because I guess it's just not something we want to be known as. So
yeah, and I guess as we're sort of closing out, and again, there's so much to talk about here and to unpack about our existence and our lives and our history and our contemporary status, that I think we could actually visit all day about your leadership and where it is we're going. But as we wrap up, let's kind of think about, if we were thinking about one word or one sentence that you want to leave people with, an impression of who you are, who your people are, what is it that you would want people to know? And maybe we'll just have everybody sort of give one word or a sentence about what do you want people to, what's the essence of it? And, I can start of sort of when I think of all of you and the leadership you're going to provide for Indian country, and really for everybody to learn about what it is that we need to be learning about. I just think powerful.
Well, I guess like one thing that I would want like people watching this to see is like everybody on here is like all very different and they come from different backgrounds, but we're able to come together and talk about something that's really important to all of us. And I think we're kind of setting a good example of what other cultures should be doing, and just like the entire planet as a whole just needs to really come together and realize that while we have different backgrounds, we're all very similar. So
I'll just call on each of you. Ava.
If I had to leave people with something, I would say beautiful. My culture is beautiful. It is not something to be ashamed of. It is not something for other people to be ashamed of. It is not something to hide or something to run from. It is something to bring back, to find out who we are. It is kind of recovering from everything that we've gone to. We're still here. We're resilient. And that's beautiful.
Thank you. Carrie?
Well, I'm not Indigenous, but I think everyone who's not Indigenous, it's our job to uplift your guys' voices. I shouldn't really be doing the talking. I should let you guys do the talking and share your stories. I don't know your stories. And we should be learning that in our schools. And this is a wonderful opportunity. I'm so glad I've gotten to listen to all of you. And Indigenous people are some of the most brave people I've ever met. And I'm really excited to see you guys just like be leaders.
Elizabeth?
If I could say something, I would probably say that as a Native, every day, everything you do matters. Everyone you surround yourself with are people that are going to shape you into the person you become. And the fact is that like everything that comes around with our culture and our lives, yes, we are so incredibly different, but also so similar in the ways that like we both all have the same morals in life and want to be good people for the people around us and want to be there for who we can be there for. And it's just that the culture is like what brings us together. Even at the end of the day, we have our own lives, but culture is what brings us together and can like have us all act as like one.
That's great. Thank you. Christian?
What was the question again?
So if you want to leave a lasting impression with either a word or a sentence or just something that you want to say that you want people to know about, just like Ava said, resilience, we're still here. Like I said, powerful. It just like, and culture's alive. I mean, what would you want people to know? And what's the lasting impression you want to leave?
That our culture and things we do have a meaning to it and a backstory, and this is just
That's great. And so Ryder?
Yeah, I guess just like notice us, like notice how we're together. I think together would be the word that I would want to pick for a lasting impression, because not just like single tribes or anything, but like just like the entire Native American indigenous people as a whole, we are together, and I think that's really important.
Kellen?
I think there's like a couple words that there would be definitely don't forget us, because that means they really tried to like the settlers, they tried to forget about us, almost got away with mass genocide, and they really tried to kill us all, but we survived that. We're still here, and we're here before them. Probably still be here after them. Yeah, they tried to kill us. Survive that survivors. I don't think anything else can try to kill us because we're all strong together. And the more people that like more big leaders that start talking, and they'll make bigger people start talking.
Israel.
I just want to say something for like Native children, I guess, or like kids, whoever's listening to this. Like, keep your head up. Like, don't let anybody like talk you down. Just like whoever talked you down, and like just keep that for motivation. So like when you turn out to be something big, you can just like show them like no matter how much you talk about them, that you just became a really astounding person in the end. Or I don't know. That's what I want to say.
Great, thank you. Mackenzie?
I would say family, because a family is so strong and it helps one another and it heals one another. It's the strongest thing in the world because it's love and strength and healing. Because we're always there for one another and we help, like, in any situation, and we'll always be there for another.
Great. Armando?
I'd like to say, just remember that you have your voice. You know, there's a lot of ignorance, a lot of misconceptions, and this goes out to more than just Native Americans. This is most minorities. Just remember that, you know, if you hear someone say something like about a stereotype, especially if it's something like towards any things that you are related to, just simply clear it up and like don't get violent about it. Just say, you know, correct them on whatever it is, because your voice is powerful and has many other people behind it. You know, I'm talking about like your ancestors and just the rest of your family, you know, because that is protecting your heritage, protecting everything that you came from. So just remember to speak up on anything that happens like that.
Great. Cooper?
The word I would use would probably be passionate, because we all like strive to achieve like great things, and we're really passionate about like what we do, and like we have a lot of confidence and a lot of ways that we do things, but we do it very passionately.
It's awesome. Jace?
I would use the word revival. I don't know who said that, but this generation, like us, we're like the revival for sure. And that now, like thinking about it, like any Native American youth can sit back and think, wow, I'm going to be a greater part of like bringing this back after years of oppression and like years and years of oppression. In fact, like that we're going to bring it back and we're going to be like stronger than ever. And there's like no stopping that. And yeah, we're going to be the reason we survived through everything we've gone through.
That's great. Xavier?
So what I would say is that to my people is that wake up, like prove yourself who you are. Don't look down in negative thoughts. Like always strive to achieve everything you want to accomplish. Prove yourself who you are and make it memorable. Be passionate about everything and do everything what you love. So I'll close that. No regrets. Stay on beauty way path keep moving forward. We have a whole lot of people watching us. So be kind and respectful to the people you love. So mainly dedicate yourself and be amazing people out there. Like we can show them and we will be up.
It's powerful. Jasmine?
One thing I would say to take is appreciate and take the time. You know, appreciate so much that we have now that, you know, our ancestors and our elders never got to experience a whole lot. And, you know, appreciate that we get to know, like some of us, I know not all of us, because I know like so much culture, like, and so many like old stories or things that you should know have been lost, but appreciate that you can still go and maybe ask your grandparents or your great grandparents or your mother, your father, you know, and just appreciate that you can experience your culture a little bit now. You know, you can, that could either mean, you know, someone else's tribe, knowing a bit more about your tribe or something, or anything really. But on the take your time part, I'd say take your time to ask and learn and educate yourself. Going and, you know, if that even means that any of us today would want to, like, you know, get some contact info or to, you know, maybe ask to see if there's any websites or any books or anything or any people we can reach out to learn and educate ourselves on more things. And that is even speaking to some of, you know, our Indigenous people who know a lot. You know, there's still room to learn and to acknowledge. And I think those are the two main words I want people to remember, is to appreciate and to take the time to ask. And that's really it.
No, that's awesome. You know, we're out of time, and I just really want to thank all of you. I mean, there was a questions about heroes and sheroes, and I think you are all showing that you are the heroes and sheroes, and you can step up into these places of power and leadership and use your voice and empower people and you know, let people know, you know, what's really going on in Indian country. And as Jace said, I think it's, you know, you are it, and you are the ones that are going to have to lead and make the change that we all want to see. And so I just really appreciate you engaging in this conversation. I look forward to whatever it is you're going to do next. Jasmine, we can probably share everybody's emails after this event so that you can all stay in touch. I think it's important to have these types of networks because as you step into leadership roles, you know, you can rely on each other too. But just really appreciate you being here, appreciate your voice, appreciate you speaking up, and just thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.